Good afternoon, and welcome to Candid Conversations with Pastor V and the Encouraged Ministries. We hope that you are coming in, to join us as we begin this forum, this social justice forum live for you this afternoon as we anticipate the Poor People's Campaign marches and rallies over the weekend. The one in Texas on tomorrow with the Texas Poor People's Campaign, and then the national one on Monday with clergy and persons from all over the country who are coming together to make sure that, as is going on in DC right now, that people are beginning to talk about and to be on Capitol Hill, really pushing voters' rights and voter suppression education and all of those things that we've been struggling with here in Texas, but also that is going on in Georgia and in Iowa and in all of these parts of the country where the clock is being turned back on voter rights. So we have some persons here that are going to share with us on today. Two of our guests are already in the studio, so we're going to invite them to come on in, and then when our other guest arrives, then she will join us as well. So will you please join me in greeting our co-host for today, Dr. Obadike Kamau, who I will let in now. Dr. K.
Greetings. How are you doing, Pastor V?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for your assistance in bringing to us these queens of the movement. That's what I call them, because I don't ever want to insult them by calling them elders, even though they are older than we, but yet they are queens. And I'm sure that people will see that as they come on. We're going to invite now Ms. Cleo Johnson McLaughlin, as she comes now to join us, and we pray and hope that Sister Belle Robinson will be here soon. But we want to go on and bring this queen on, because I know she has a lot to say and a lot to help us understand about the movement and what we're trying to do and what we must do in this season. Please welcome her. Welcome. Welcome.
It's a pleasure.
Greetings, big sister.
Thank you.
How are you? Good. Well, Pastor V, I have had the pleasure of knowing Sister Cleo Glenn Johnson McLaughlin since Tamar was 1 or 2.
Wow.
And she has always been just as busy and just as involved and just as active to a large degree as she is now. I had been thinking about how can I work with Cleo, and she told me that she was going to be concentrating on voter suppression and registering people to vote and getting us involved. This was after Biden's victory, and that continued. And I was speaking with her one time about Pastor Barbara, and she said, "There's the Texas chapter of the Poor People's Campaign." I said, "Oh, really? Who's in it?" She said, "I am." And from there, she introduced me to Sister Linda Bell Robinson, and I have engaged.
There's just an echo going on. Yeah.
Okay. And I have worked.
You can keep talking, Dr. K. We're good.
Okay. And so I've been working with them ever since, and I want to expose them to Houston and to your wide audience, and let people know who they are, where they are, what they're doing, in case they want to get involved. So, Sister Cleo, welcome.
Absolutely.
Is
there a
statement
that you would like to make to us today, just to get us going, to put us in the mindset of where we need to be in this weekend and what is going on with the movement? The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, thank you. First, let me just thank brother. It's kind of hard. He was a young man when I met him, and I was even younger when I met him, and so now I have to, be right, come right by being my own. But at any rate, um, where we are today is where we've been before, and I want to make that clear so that people can understand we're not doing something for the first time. We've had to fight
Yes,
this
ma'am.
battle before. My parents fought this battle, and their parents fought this battle. But this battle is time to end. It is time for us to step up as voters, as participants, and understand that we have a right in this world like everybody else. God gave us this privilege to live, and so we need to live like everyone else. But here
Yes,
again, without us having a struggle. And unfortunately, we are having a struggle in a world that doesn't belong to any one particular person, even though we've given them some kind of confusion that they believe we own this country and other people do not. And so we have to get out front and stay out front and stop getting comfortable in the moment, because it's oftentimes it's moments that set us back. When we get off of our game, they get on theirs, and they start to pass legislation that will destroy not only us but the democracy of this country. And so on tomorrow, there is going to be another march that is going to take us from Georgetown to Austin to the Capitol to talk about the things that is affecting us in Austin. Now, we have to become more participatory because the legislators can't do it by themselves.
right.
Cannot be solo. They need support. They need to hear from us. We need to call, write, and we need to show up and let them know what we want, what we like, and what we need to be doing. And so here again, we become partners in this process rather than being individuals. And so tomorrow they're going up at 7 o'clock in the morning in Georgetown, and that 8 mile walk to Austin. Hopefully, people can do it. I'm 75, so I'm not going to do the walk, but I might get in the car and do part of it in the car. But here again, it's necessary for people to show up and be a part of everything that's going to take place in Austin on tomorrow. People can, I don't have the number, but I can give you my number that people can call if they want to get registered, or so that we can send them um, the link that where they can register online to know how many people we're going to have so we can have the right kind of protection. But here again, we need all the people that's going to participate with us to get someone registered and get them voting. The most important, crucial tool we have right now is to show our power through our vote. Now, on the
Yes.
side, let's say the worst scenario. The worst scenario is that we don't get what we want addressed right now. I want people to know that we're not lost and it doesn't have to remain. What we can do is that if we get enough people registered, get enough people voting, we can replace those people who are um, against, well, let me put it this way, people that are writing bad legislation, we can get them out of office and we can always change things. And so, too long we've used the term difference. And I tend to be a little bit agitated by the word difference because I heard it 30 years ago. I heard it 40 years ago.
Hmm.
I got to try to remember how old I am. Okay, 50 years ago. We were using the term difference. And here's the thing, difference is one thing, another, even though they seem to be things changed. We don't need to just make a difference because the difference can last for a minute. Change, we can make sure that nobody touches it and try to unchange it ever again. And so, and when I say that, I want people to understand it is important that there are laws on the books right now that is killing us that we need to change.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that's why it's so important. And so over this last year, we have registered people to vote. We have walked streets to get people to vote. We have gone to churches to get people to be registered to vote. We've asked ministers, get your congregations registered. They are
Yes.
important. And we need to understand one thing. If in fact, and you say it's because nobody, they're gonna do whatever they want. But remember, when you don't vote, you end up
Mhm.
allowing someone inferior to be in place. And a person inferior can't think and do and can't help you. And so we
Correct.
become a participant in our lives and dictators. And so the Poor People's Campaign is about registering people to vote, about getting you to the polls, and to make sure that this democracy stays in place.
That's wonderful. I'm going to ask people who are watching to begin to share, to make sure you're sharing on your page and with others, so that we can get this information out. Um, is the place to register action.poorpeoplescampaign.org? Is that where we want to send them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I
Yes,
put it in
ma'am.
the chat. That's what I was
Yes, you
doing.
may.
I was listening, but trying to work and get that out there so that we can get that
Okay.
information to others. Um, um,
Right.
Queen Cleo, let me ask you the question. What do we need to do to press upon people the urgency that we can't just hope it's going to get better?
Well, what we can do right now is that we can start overwhelming all of the official offices, especially the GP. They don't feel like you're out there because they don't hear from us.
Right.
And so when you don't write them and you don't call them, then they feel that they can do whatever they want. But if you start to call them and pressure them and send letters and show up on the Capitol tomorrow, they recognize that there is a movement of people going on, not just conversation or news bites, sound bites, but in fact there are real people out there that could help unseat them. And so we've got to make people know that we are on of the process. They may be legislators, but we, the people, are the ones who can decide who continues to do that versus us not. And so we need to get on the phone. We need to get find out their emails. All of that's online. You can find out where these legislators are, so you can write them, you can call them, and overwhelm them in all. No, you do not want them voting in the course they're voting right now, and tell them what we are against and what you do want. But definitely, we need them to vote where everyone is helpful. See, one of the sad things is that most of the people don't understand that these laws that they're trying to pass in Texas right now, it's not about any one particular group. It's not about the poor
Right.
people. It's not about black
Right.
people, brown people. It's not about all the other people. And just because you like your representative and he looks like you or she looks like you, doesn't mean that they are cutting a little picture out just for you. Of us are going to crater the as a free world. People walking around complaining about, I don't want to wear a mask and I don't have to wear a mask and nobody tell me about wear a mask. Well, guess what? If they pass these laws that they have and the suppression that they put in keeping people from being able to vote and being a participant in society, you're going to face more than not wanting to wear a mask. That won't be your
Yeah.
biggest worry. Your biggest worry is going to be whether or not you'll be able to make a living, whether or not you can get paid fairly, whether or not you can ever come out of poverty.
Yes.
Difference between
Yes,
a
ma'am.
spectator and a participant. Spectators like it the way it is. And if you like it the way it is, don't complain. Just keep on living and hope you live without dying from a disease that nobody knows about. Hope that you can get food without having to give it to you that you don't know. Participants change things. Participants make things happen. The participant understands that I don't want someone, an inferior person, leading this country. I don't want a person who has idiotic thoughts leading this country. I want to select someone that is going to be good for all of us and make sure that we all can live in this world fair and have equal access to everything that's out there. And so the people have got to understand it is about you. You are the voter. You are the people that run this country. But now you're letting a select few of people who feel they have the power to change your life while you're trying to make a difference. You need to stop the difference, and we need to start making changes and make it so that they can never do this again.
You know, V, I would like to tell your watchers to please visit the Poor People's Campaign, poorpeoplescampaign.org, and then go and to where they say states and look up Texas. There's all kinds of information that's very well done, very well organized, and very comprehensive website. So that's poorpeoplescampaign.org. Uh, One of the things that I think we really need to think about is that the people who currently hold office in Texas, and I guess most red states, are pretty irresponsible. They are, I am just amazed.
What with your echo? Yeah.
Yeah,
Is your other device on?
I'm going to turn it off. I already had
That's what
left.
it is.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. There you go.
Uh, but these people are very irresponsible, even with their basis lives. Um,
Yeah.
and we really, if we want to make the kind of changes um, that are necessary, we're going to have to be involved, as Cleo said. We can't. We're going to have to get involved, and we really can't. Oh man, I'm
Just
sorry,
keep
guys.
talking. It's not as bad as you think. Go on.
Okay. So I just think we're gonna. All right, that should do it. So I think that we're going to. We need to be involved. I also want to say that people are very serious, and we are really on the edge of social change. And we have two forces in combat with each other. We have a conservative force who want to keep things the way they are, or even take things back to the way they used to be. And then you have a force that is demanding change. And the people on the other side, the people on the conservative side, are very desperate, and they are involved in making some very desperate moves that aren't going to last, even if it looks like they go into effect. We just need to stop it on the front side so we don't have to deal with 5 or 6 years of having to undo something that's largely stupidity, and are not, there's no compassion involved. And the Poor People's Campaign grew out of Dr. King's effort.
Yes.
That was the last thing that he was going to be
Yes.
involved in, and Reverend Abernathy actually led that effort. Um, and King basically, the face of poverty was black at that time in perception, and
Yes.
that's so wrong, so incorrect. It was then, it still is now. King was reaching out to everybody who was having uh, resource issues, and he was trying to change the perceived face of poverty from black to largely being American. And it's
Right.
very unfortunate, but this is what happened. And the diversity the King began working toward very consciously is showing up and it
Yes.
participating now.
Yes. I wanted to say to you that I agree with you on every front except one thing. I think there are three groups. I think there's that group that wants to tighten things up and take us back. those who want to progress, and I think there are those who are absolutely silent. And that's the group
Yes.
that I'm
Okay.
concerned about, the silent ones, the ones who are just letting things
Yes.
happen. We as
Right.
Queen Cleo said to us just a little while ago, there's a difference between a spectator and a participant. And far too many people are spectators because they think that spectating is the opposite of being against, but it's not. There's
Mm-hmm.
Ibram Kendi, who has written this groundbreaking book, How to Be an Anti-Racist, clearly says that there is no such thing as non-racist. So that is not a matter of non-racist. You're either racist or anti-racist. And I would take
Hmm.
that to this movement. You're either on the side of progress or you're anti-progress. There's no middle ground. That you're either with
No.
poor people not continuing to be poor. You're either with voter rights or you are against it. There is no middle of the road. That limbo, that liminal space, people always like to be in and say, I'm not against you. Yes, you are. Because if you're not for us, you are against us. And
Yes.
that's where we have to be in this season. That's where we
Yes.
have to be in this time.
Those that are silent are always
I agree.
for the status quo, or they might as well be.
Well, they are,
Uh,
because a
yeah.
lot of it is
Right.
always about capitalism. It's always about the colonial mind of capitalism. So they don't want to rock the boat because they don't want to upset their own apple cart, but they don't mind the fact that you can't even get an apple. So my concern is that
Right.
we are clear in our resolve, that we are speaking in a way that people understand that to not be on board is to be against.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And the and then the Poor People's Campaign has worked diligently around the state of Texas, and of course, you have many of those same people are going to be in Washington. My son is one of the state representatives that is there. He's been there
Yes,
for 3 weeks, and what people don't understand, I've heard the little a good time. Well, no, they're not. You don't understand that they're they have more restrictions down there. No, they cannot stray away from the hotel because there's so many possibilities. There's so much at stake, and their meeting. It takes a lot to meet with all the different people to convince them that this is not where we need to be in the 21st century, as if we are in the 19th century.
yes, ma'am.
Things are going back
It
too quick, and
reminds me.
one person to get where they are, to go back. And so I just want people to understand that those representatives down there have no desire to party because they're there because they are putting their lives at risk. Because not being here, of course, the governor has not changed his mind about corralling them and rounding
Correct.
them up and having them taken to the capital once they get back here. But in the meantime, there have been some intimidation by the law enforcement here. DPS has shown up at my grandchildren's house, just sitting out to intimidate, and that's not fun. That's not a come place to be.
No,
And so, with those people, men and women down there, people don't realize they don't make but $600 a month.
a
Texas
month,
legislators are not like other legislators where they make a salary. Yes, a month.
a month.
And so, with that $600 a month, they so leave their jobs and hope that their jobs compensate them or use vacation days and stuff to be in Wash fight for us. And so they're doing their part. We need for us to do our part. So we gotta participate in these marches. Understand we're not participating for anything other than the right to live and to be in this world with everybody and make a decent wage, help people be able to come out of poverty instead of setting them back, creating illusions that else is happening, where we are creating a divide. And with this, what is it called? Dr. Kamal, what are they calling it? The cultural race or something? You know, that's
Oh,
nothing but another kind of
critical race
division.
theory. Yeah.
Critical race theory.
That's right. That's here's here again. No one thought of that when they made, you know, humorous jokes out of black people by wearing blackface in movies. And so what message did that send? So now all of a sudden you're concerned about your children learning about the history of this country in its
Yeah.
real form and not in a fake for form. And so they don't want the truth to be told. And so they're letting people breed lies and discontentment based. All of those things have to, yes, all of those there are sacrificing a great deal as a mother. And even though he's 50 years old, I'm still concerned about his health.
Yeah.
You know, he said, "Are you gonna send me some food? When you gonna send me some food?" I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to get somebody that I know in Washington to cook and bring you some food. But you know, it's painful. It's painful, and so we all pay a price when
Yeah.
people don't know how many of us back here are actually on your side. And here again, many times when people say things like, you know, they must be having a good time, they just partying and all this kind of stuff. I want to know, where do they get that information from? Are you there? To say things out of their mind when in fact today we don't have time to play. We don't have time to joke. I'm kind of confused about, well, it's not affecting me. I don't have anything to worry about. But trust me,
Mhm.
it will.
Yes, ma'am. Dr.
Um,
K. Yeah.
yes, I
Yeah.
was
So,
just
oh, I
going to
forgot.
say,
Oh, go ahead.
okay, I was just going to say that I just want your listeners to take into consideration how serious it is. The legislators from Texas are a perfect example of what people are willing to put on the line. And I just want, if you review the history, uh, this is kind of the pattern. The Republicans in Texas have had to actually remove some items from their original bill. This is what you have to do. This is the kind of pressure you have to put on them. And unfortunately, we almost have to reach the place to where there may not ever be a time when we don't maintain pressure on them, because we know if we go work to go back to our normal lives, give them a few years and they'll be right back to trying this silly stuff all over again. So I'm very proud of the legislators from Texas
Yes.
because they are
Absolutely.
serving as an example of how serious this is and what you have to be willing to give up. And don't ever look, they have stopped them in their tracks. And he
Twice.
may continue to call special sessions, but they have
Right,
stopped
right,
them in their tracks.
right.
And the one thing that has happened during this latest stoppage is that everybody's getting an opportunity to look and see what's really
Absolutely.
going on. It's not a 3 minute story on the news.
Nope.
People are having to check into it and see what's happening. So I am very proud of them. I'm proud of Jarvis and all of his colleagues.
Absolutely. Listen, one of the things that I think that sometimes we lose sight of when we think of this so much as a political issue is that it's not a political issue. People being poor, people having their vote suppressed is not a political issue. It's a moral issue. And that's
Yeah.
one of the things that is a major component of the Poor People's Campaign, that this is a moral issue. It crosses
Yes,
the
it is.
line from anything partisan. It crosses the line of anything racial. This is about morality. How do you let people continue to be without while the people in the high places continue to function in this colonized mindset that has been going on for, we know, at least 400 years that we've had to deal with? And so
Mm-hmm.
when we have these conversations and I hear people say, oh, that's just politics, I can't be bothered with that, I'm just trying to make a living. Do you understand that the morality of this is greater than your pocketbook, and whatever it is that's going in your bank account could be gone tomorrow because there is an immorality at the core of this. There is evil at the core of this mindset. So I was excited 2 weeks ago to go and share with the preachers from all over Texas who came to pray and to walk and to march and to talk. And those same people, I won't be able to join them, but this letter writing campaign, I'm pushing it because there's more than one thing to do. If you can't march, you can write.
Yes.
If you can't write, you can talk. If you can't talk, you can continue to post things
That's right.
that say that you are on the side of morality, that you are on the side of better for all people. What we do with the forums we've been given, what God has put in our hands, is our responsibility to get it out there so that we are making a difference in lives and that we are on the side of morality, because this is a moral issue.
I
It
agree.
truly
It
is.
is.
It's a
It
moral
is. It's a
issue.
complete.
Cleo?
Huh? Didn't
No,
hear you.
no.
I'm
Okay, I
sorry.
thought you were talking.
We thought you were
I
saying
was.
something.
Oh, no, I would say it is a moral issue. Yes, it is. Yeah, I was just agreeing because here again, you made a statement, Reverend, that people say, "Well, it's not going to affect me," but the reality is, it is going to affect you because just like you're getting your paycheck right now and you're taking it to your bank, well, who do you think control the banks? Government. And so we need to understand there is nothing that we do when you say, well, I don't want a big government in my business. I don't want big. How can you say you don't want big government when government controls everything we do, from the water to the food we eat, to the clothes we wear, to the jobs we have? So we got to stop letting people use language to confuse us about where government isn't. There is not a place in our lives where government isn't. The lipstick we wear, the glasses we wear, controls all of that. And so people have to understand we're not talking about somebody else. We are talking about us. We are talking about you. You are the that can change this thing just by registering and voting and getting other people to become registered voters. Don't let language sidetrack get you to hear something that is not real. There's no such thing as we don't want big government or we don't want government to control. Government does control, period, everything you have. The feed that's out there that the cows eat. We got to understand that. That's where we got confused and not understanding what government is to this country. It is everything.
One
So
of
we
the
got to give
things
them
that's
some morals.
so beautiful.
Go
One
on,
of the
Dr.
things
K.
that's so beautiful. One of the things that's so beautiful about this time is that people are in the position to directly see how government impacts their lives during this time. It's $300 a month that my children are too old to get. People see, they understand where that's coming from. They understand to some degree what had to be done for them to feel it. It's like Aretha says, they are being given something they can feel. They are understanding where those things come
That's right.
from. They are understanding, I mean, very visibly how the people they vote for or didn't, or them not voting, those people do not care about them. It's real clear You try to talk to people about the importance of public policy sometimes, and it's hard to make them understand how pervasive this stuff is and how it's all in their lives. But now they understand bills, the
Right.
George Floyd anti-police, and that they understand that they understand these uh, policies that are being voted on and enacted and argued over. They understand that if the jobs from this infrastructure deal is going to happen, they already kind of know who's going to be against it and who's not. The Republicans came to the table and voted for that bill at this stage in such large numbers because their constituency knows and understands what's going on, and they knew they couldn't stand to have another vote go through for people's benefit where Republicans didn't have anything to do with it except try to claim credit for it after it had been put into effect. So this is a time where things are clearer as they have been to this point. People are able to see better and people
Right.
are able to make connections. And it's a time, the reason that people participated to the degree they did in the November 2020 election was because their eyes were being opened.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
You said the word
May
infrastructure,
I
and
just add something?
my mind said that the infrastructure of our lives is at stake, though. We're
Hmm.
fixing bridge. We're trying to pass bills to fix bridges, and we need it, and to fix
Hmm.
streets, and we need
Hmm.
it, and we don't want
Hmm.
any other building to fall like that one in Florida. We know we need some infrastructure help, but the infrastructure of our lives is at stake right now with these
Right.
voter suppression bills, with all of the lack of equity in the ability to make a living and to make a living wage. The infrastructure of our lives is in trouble because democracy is, for the first time in my life, they've started calling democracy an experiment. I never heard it called an experiment before. But now they're
Yeah.
starting to call it an experiment because experiments fail sometimes. And I think that they're trying to set
That's
it
right.
up so that so that if it fails, it was an experiment. No, it's been the foundation as long as I can remember. So we're dealing with the fact that the infrastructure of our lives is also at stake.
Curtis Mayfield had a
And
song that said, "This is my country." He said, "Some people say that if we don't have the right to say it's my country, they all say we want to fuss and fight to say it's my country." The thing that is very interesting about this time, and a friend of mine and I were laughing, saying, "Wow, man, I don't remember a time when white boys were more angry with the police than we are." These
Yeah,
people have a Civil War mindset. They don't have state power the way they did when they had, before they went into the Civil War. But they have a Civil War mindset, and it's so amusing to me that the people that this country was made for and whose benefit to some degree it was brought into effect are the people who are most willing to throw it away, are the people who are most willing to operate with blinders and put it in a vulnerable position.
yeah,
The past president showed the vulnerability that I don't know that we all realized were there. And this thing, to a large degree, is based upon people going along with it, regardless.
yeah,
And when people choose to say, when they say, well, we're not going to go along with custom, all of a sudden, custom is very vulnerable.
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And may
Queen,
I add this?
yeah. Yes, please.
When what we didn't realize, and when people talk about government, and I want to really emphasize the power in us when we participate. What we didn't understand, had we voted in 2016, we would have never gotten Trump. And we allowed, and I don't know how the churches allowed such a pathetic, immoral man to take control of the country when they gave Obama half She attended. And so let me give you some information. 2016, Trump won Wisconsin by 23,000 votes. In Milwaukee, which is the state, I'm sorry, the city, 93,000 did not vote. Had they voted, he never would have won that state.
Wisconsin.
In Florida,
Yeah.
Trump won by 100 and huh? Won by 113,000 in Florida. In Miami alone, 379,000 blacks did not vote.
Mm.
In Michigan, he won by 11,000 votes.
11,000.
In Detroit alone, yes, and in Detroit alone, 277,000 blacks did not vote. In Pennsylvania, 44,000, he won by 44,000. In Philadelphia, 238,000 blacks did not vote. And lastly, in Georgia, he won by 211,000 votes. My sister, my brother, in Atlanta alone, 530,000 blacks did not vote. We got this person because we need to realize how much government has changed your life from 2016 to 2020. When you don't participate, that's what you get. And that's what we've gotten. So now you understand in real terms what it means to vote. What you'll get is inferior idiots to lead the country. And now we're fighting to try to get it back. And so the
You
Poor
know,
People's Campaign is the Poor
go
People's
ahead.
Campaign is okay, is greater than anything that we can do right now in promoting and encouraging our people to understand this is about our democracy. And God has given us this life to live, not for man to control, but He's given us also the determination to live the life He's given us, not what man has given us. So we've got to make sure, along with us voting, know who you're voting for. Don't just go vote for someone because they come and tell you something that might make sense to you and say, well, I can do this. No one can go in and change overnight something if they don't have experience. They don't know where they're going to get the solution. Because if you vote for something that doesn't, that hasn't been any of the work, and when I say any of the work, community on the front line, participating every day in some form of change, then why are you running for office? Because you see what happens when new people come in, if they don't know what they're doing, the older ones on the other side can always manipulate you to change, to get what they want. So what we got to do as voters, know who we're voting for. We cannot just allow ourselves to vote, oh, that's my sister's friend, or that she goes to my church.
Mhm.
And if she hasn't done anything, yeah, she may have fed some seniors, or but has she paid the price to get things changed? See, you can write legislation yourself. You just got to get an elected official to carry it for you. But we've got to understand how we can become full participants in this process. And Poor People's Campaign is a launching pad for us to go forward and continue to go. And we can't get relaxed and we cannot get laxed in protecting our democracy and our community. We're at we're 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 at risk 24/7. That's the reason black men can be killed at random and they justify it, or the reason why we get fired, and the reason why so many things happen to us because we don't have our voice out there showing and telling you we can do something about this. See, I remember the time when people waited to see the black vote come in to determine the election. Today they don't have to worry because they say, no, no, no. They're complacent. We got them divided. They're not on each other's side no more. So they have divided and conquered. We need to come back together. And the Poor People's Campaign is about bringing us back together on one front to be moral about the things that we do, and elect
Yes,
moral people rather than people who just think better than everybody else and they don't know what they're talking about.
absolutely. Absolutely. Dr. K, you want to give us uh, some uh, some words of active activism that we can move from this moment uh, to uh, to connect with the Poor People's Campaign, but also where our mindset needs to be to go forward right now.
One of the things that, and it's cultural, you have been in education. People do what they're taught to do.
Mm-hmm.
People do what they're taught to do. And not only do people do what they're taught to do, they generally don't even think about what they do because their thoughts and actions are so thoroughly ingrained. So, one of the things that this society attempts to make us believe is that we are weak, that we are alone, and that we do not have the capacity to make changes. And there's a whole culture and lifestyle built upon on us believing that and acting from that place.
Absolutely.
Those of us who have been in church or been in religion or been in spirituality are always supposed to remember how powerful we are and where our power comes
Comes
from.
from. Mm-hmm.
Uh, we are active, we are instruments through which the divine works. And when there are things that are uncomfortable to us, we have been given the ability to change those things. And this has happened throughout history. So I appreciate Pastor Barbara. I appreciate the Poor People's Campaign. I appreciate Sister Cleo and Linda because they're out here doing the work. I appreciate the mindset where people are working to become more empowered. See,
Yeah.
as strange as this looks, even with our politicians being in DC, we have them on the run. We really need to remember that. We have them on the run. We have them pulling out all the stops. We have them being silly. We have them coming out of the pretensions they have largely approached us on, being straight raw who they are.
Yep.
We also have them, the reason that they draw funny looking districts is because they fear us. The reason they attempt to suppress our vote is because they fear us. We are agents of change who don't necessarily realize it. We don't understand what we have the capability to do. And often when we do things, we figure out a way to give someone else besides ourselves the credit.
Yeah.
So what I want to say is that we are very powerful people. It is the Father inside us which doeth the work. And the
Eh,
Father inside us is what makes us powerful.
uh, there's
Go
a
ahead, my sister.
there's a book that is that I've just got finished reading called Decolonizing Christianity. And
Okay.
one of the things that this Latinx liberation theologian says, stop talking about speaking truth to power because power already knows the truth. We got to
Ah,
start speaking. We got to start speaking to ourselves and empowering
yes,
ourselves where
Right.
we need to go. The power already knows the truth. They know the game. They know the calculations. They know what they set up. They know what they talked about in the back room. They know what their fathers and their fathers and their fathers talked about in that back room when they got together to set this thing in motion. They know.
Right.
What we have to do is learn it. So we stop looking at or looking for some benevolence from someone who is not about to give up their power.
right,
I learned a long
right.
time ago that anything somebody gives you, they can take back.
Hmm.
But if you take it, it's yours. So the empowerment is for us.
And we need to let the Tulsa experiment with, with Black Wall Street,
Yeah,
when Black folk understood God in their lives and they understood what He had provided them with, and they pulled it together and they created. And what did the other folk do? They came in and destroyed it because they did not depend on anybody but themselves. We can
right.
do it. We've done it before.
We can do it. We've done it before. I agree with you. Uh, Queen, give us the last word for today, and we will move forward and give the information again on how people can get involved. But give us the last word, please.
Before she speaks,
Yes,
Pastor V, I
Well,
just
yes,
want to thank you for having us
what I would
on.
want
You
to
got a
understand.
special place in my heart. I don't know if your listeners know, but you have a special place in my heart. And thank you.
absolutely.
I am so proud of you
Thank you
and
so
love
much.
you.
Thank you so much. Love you too, Dr. K. Queen, and I hope you don't mind
Okay,
that
well,
word of endearment.
I
Yes,
just
ma'am.
want
We've lost your audio. Can you try again, please? Wow.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I really want her last word. We're going to hope that it's coming. In the meantime, while we're hoping that it comes back on, I want to just remind you that on this weekend, starting tomorrow, there is a rally. Poor People's Campaign marches from Georgetown to Austin. The 8 Mile trek from Georgetown to Austin tomorrow, 7:31 at 10 a.m. And then on Monday, the march in Washington is to the Capitol, and that information is on the Poor People's Campaign webpage that we have shown you, and I will show you again. It is poorpeoplescampaign.org. And if you are interested in going and registering for either one of those rallies, please go to actionpoorpeoplescampaign.org and it will sign you up. If you go to the regular Poor People's Campaign, Poor People's Campaign, I'm sorry, webpage, then you can sign up to get their emails. So you will always know what is going on. Poorpeoplescampaign.org will give you the information you need to be a part of all of the efforts that are going on with the Texas Poor People Campaign and the Poor People's Campaign across the country with Dr. Barber and all those who are involved. We are grateful for Queen Cleo Johnson McLaughlin and all that she taught us today, all that she reminded us of today. We are praying for our legislators, including her son, Jarvis Johnson, who is with that group. And we do know that whatever we have ever put our minds to, and we have decided
Yes,
that no one is going to turn
yes,
us away from it, we have brought that thing to pass. So we do it again.
absolutely.
And we do it again and again and again until those people who keep trying us remember that they don't let things like that happen to them over and over again. They will turn it around. And until they get it, we keep fighting. Because as we say, when we fight, when we really fight, we win. So we ask that you would continue to work, that you would continue to be a part of, that you would be an activist, that you would be an activist in the ways that you can. Everyone's not going to a march. Everyone's not going to be able to go to DC or to go to these places, but you are on your post. If you're on Facebook right now, that means that you have a page. Use your page for good so that we can make a difference, so that we can bind together and that we can change things. I think we're going to get our last word. She's back.
All
Yes.
right.
Come on back in. Yes, ma'am. You're back and you're ready. And we've
okay.
given the information. So if you can give us your last word, we'll end with you.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let me see what I want. I forgot what I wanted to say, but I couldn't figure out what I was gonna do. But let me just share this. Beyond being an opportunity to talk about the Poor People's Campaign and the things that we need to do to get this job handled, we need to call our legislators, we need to write our legislators, we need to go see them and tell them we are against all of the suppression bills that they are actually putting forth. You leave this with you. Politicians, imposters, thieves, and traitors are not victims, but accomplices. And so we got to stop being accomplices to the things and the harmful things that's happening to us. We need to start doing the right thing. Let God order our steps and help us to think through the things that we're doing. And so I want everyone to have a good day. Register somebody to vote and take them to the polls when it's time. And vote on all cards. Don't just vote on president. Vote on city council, state, and federal and county elections. So we got to
Yes,
stop voting
ma'am.
for the wrong people. All right.
Yes, ma'am. And we hear you loud and clear. Don't be an accomplice. Vote for all
That's right.
elections. Don't be that. Don't be the person who cries victim when you're really being an accomplice. I love it. And that whole silence thing is part of it. Stop being silent and acting as if it doesn't matter. Thank you so much for everything today. I am
Well, thank
grateful
you.
that we were able to meet. And guess what? You don't get to get rid of me. So we'll be talking. We'll be sharing because I'm always excited when I can hear wisdom and a word of encouragement and of activation from those who have been on the front line and who stay on the front line. May God bless you. May God bless Jarvis.
Thank you.
May God bless all of our legislators. Thank you, Dr. K, for all that you do.
Okay.
And thank you, audience, those of you who are listening now and those who will watch later for what you are going to do because you've been now commissioned to
Amen.
be better, to do more, and to not sit on the sideline. Don't be an accomplice, be a participant, and we'll make it happen.
There you go.
God bless you,
Yes.
and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Peace.
Thank you.